can't see you very big.
Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining this week's Speak Your Truth conversation. I'm Helen of Authentic Discovery. So please like, subscribe, share. This week we're joined by the beautiful Maigh, and because I'm not Irish, I have no idea if I've said that correctly. So, but what I will do is please ask you to introduce yourself. Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you, but you're kind of coming and going. I missed some of what you said.
All right, I've just invited you. Would you like to introduce yourself? Can you introduce yourself? Can you hear me?
Oh, I can, sorry. Yeah, sure. My name is Maigh is how you pronounce that in Irish, Helly.
Thank you.
And that's it really. And basically, I suppose I am founder and owner of Fusion Magazine, and creative director of House of Maiya.
Okay, so can you tell us some more about Fusion Magazine then? How did Fusion Magazine come about? And tell us about that first of all.
Sure. I would say that Fusion Magazine is a culmination of years upon years upon years of other work, is what I would say. And basically, I was working for other magazines for maybe 10 years. And then someone offered me a franchise of their magazine. And I thought about it for a while and then thought, why take a franchise when I can create a whole entire magazine, you know, with specifically things that I'm really interested in and sharing stories of people that really have amazing stories to share. So it just meant that we could, I suppose, choose content that we wanted to choose and not be limited by other people's what they were doing. So that's how Fusion came around. So Fusion is, I suppose, if we're going to describe it, it is, I sort of describe it to people as being about arts and activism. And it is a magazine that shares stories of people from all over the world who use their creative platform to make change, either in their community or in the world in general. So because there are so many creative people out there doing that, and we really, really wanted to just share their stories and kind of honor those people, for want of a better word.
So is arts and activism, because you said that you wanted to tell the stories that you wanted to tell. So where did the arts and activism come from within you? Where does that originate?
I would say that it's always something that has been there, but I've never put a name. I wouldn't consider myself an activist. You know what I mean? I don't personally consider myself an activist, but I have always used my own artistic platform or my own creative platform as a means or as a tool for change. You know, I think that anyone involved in the arts, or most people involved in the arts, are there because they want to challenge, I suppose, what the sort of mainstream, what's the word I'm looking for? Help me.
Narrative?
Yeah. Yes, thank you. To sort of challenge the mainstream narrative. And for me, I feel, you know, I think for me, it first started when I saw what could be achieved when I was working with children in residential care. And I saw how using drama and art and the creative art deeper than just what I saw as just containing them and giving them a sort of social structure. For me, I think I saw the arts as a means of reaching a deeper place within them. And then that kind of broadened out because, you know, I come from Northern Ireland, and in Northern Ireland and where I came from in Derry, sort of community work activism and arts go hand in hand. It's like it's natural. It's like the most natural thing in the world.
I was going to say, what I'm hearing is that activism isn't a conscious thing. It's a way of life. It's more about the sense that I'm getting is that you don't see yourself as an activist per se, but if someone is living their life, and I think if there's one thing that this current situation has shown is that it's not working properly. So it's not I am going to be an activist, but I am going to live my life and call out the injustices or whatever. I know you haven't used that term yourself. Or I'm going to create a space, creative space for people to explore, which in itself can be classed as activism. But what I hear from you is it's more, this is my life. Yeah. This is how I live, as opposed to a conscious, I'm an activist and I'm going to go out there and start.
Yeah, no, it's not. I suppose you're right about that, Helly. It's not I'm an activist and I'm going to create a magazine on arts and activism. No, there's none of that. It's just a natural, as I said, it's a natural culmination of everything that I've ever done in my entire 20 plus years of working in the arts, or working like that. Yeah, or like that, working with kids in a social setting, or it's always, for me, it's always a tool. The creative arts are an amazing tool, and also not even that, but it's a way of life, as you said, but it's something that's very it's something that's innate, I believe, that's in all of us. It's innate in all of us, the need to express, and through that expression create some change. You know what I'm saying? It's our way of understanding the environment, exploring the environment that we live in, exploring the rules and regulations around us in a very safe kind of way, I think.
Because I
and so I want.
Yeah, sorry. Just because I suppose I mentioned this current situation, and you're talking about the arts being a creative space to explore. Do you have any thoughts, would you like to share any thoughts on the fact that the arts at the moment? I'm not saying there's no art being creative and artists aren't out there, but what I perceive is that there's no actual the restrictions are actually sort of putting a barrier across that for people's engagement with the arts. It's very difficult to engage with the arts now. It's difficult for us to engage together. But do you have any thoughts on that? We're frozen.
I'm kind of losing you a little bit there, Helen.
Oh, right, okay. No, I was just wondering, do you have any thoughts or observations on the current way that the arts are, there's almost a barrier across the arts at the moment for people to engage with. Artists are doing, because that's what artists do, whether it's music or whatever, but people's ability to access that. So do you have any thoughts on that? Or do you not see that? Do you see that people are still very much engaging with the arts? It seems that the internet is very, very bad. We've lost Maig. Did you get that question at all?
Can you hear me, Helen?
I can now, yeah, but you had frozen and I could hear nothing.
Yeah, I lost you there. I couldn't hear one thing that you said.
It was just, did you have any comments or thoughts on, can you hear me? Do you have any comments or thoughts on how the arts or access to the arts is being sort of, I see them as barriered, or do you think that people are still engaging fully with the arts at the moment?
I think there's two, I guess. One, I think that I feel that the arts has always been, one of my bugbears about the arts when I was growing up, which is why I started off with community arts, was because the arts was always made, there were gatekeepers. It was something that was for, a special kind of elite to be in theatre, or So there's always been barriers for the ordinary everyday person. My own personal experience, I can't speak for everyone, I'm not going to. So there's that. So that was one of the things for me, I think, that where I even, in a way, started off thinking, you know, that's not going to happen. I'm going to do these arts the way that I want to do them. And that's going to be that. So I've always come in from, in a way, sort of, there's always been a barrier, I think, one way or another, no matter what that barrier is, whether it's the funding, whether it's the gatekeepers, as I say, you can only be, you know, special, only if you have, go to a certain school can you have access to the arts or whatever it is. And so that's always been there. And thank God for people who do community arts and who artists out there and creatives out there who said, no, we're fighting for more than that, and we're fighting for the everyday ordinary person. And the ordinary everyday person has come out and said, no, we want access and we're going to have it. And so I think that kind of leads into your second question, in a sense where, yes, I feel it now, you know, the theaters are all closed. The whole COVID thing to me is, I just can't make sense of it one way or another. We were talking about this yesterday, you know, you're not allowed to buy clothes, but you're allowed to still buy electrical goods like computers and TVs and stuff like that. They're considered essential items, and clothes are not. I don't understand that one bit. And I think that when things get tough like this, that people really dig deep into their inner creative. And when I say creative, all creativity is finding a solution to a problem. So I feel that people are really digging deep to find solutions to the issues that are going on at the moment. The world, as we all know, is changing. We don't know where this is going. You know, obviously there are theories. You have some, I have some, lots of people have theories about what's happening around us. We have our best and worst scenarios, you know. But I think that's why, for me, creating fusion was so important, because there are so many people out there doing amazing stuff creatively in their communities and changing their communities and being part of this change that's happening in the world in a very positive way. So that's what I want to share. I feel that there's so much negative brainwashing going on at the moment, that it's really important now for people who have a platform, who are in the media, who are in the creative art, whatever they're doing, to really get in with sharing the positive story.
Oh, the internet is so bad for this week.
And that doesn't mean being naive about anything. You know, obviously not to be naive, but just to be part of the positive change, as opposed to just buying the brainwashing, you know?
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
kind of got, I think this time, the last month maybe, for myself, there's been a very definite switch in the need for solution. We're all aware that things aren't right. Well, for years actually, about other things, but right now we need to find the solutions. You mentioned that you were talking, and you said that, you know, people can't buy clothes, and I see a beautiful dress behind you, and you mentioned House of Maiya earlier. So can you tell me about, I suppose it's because of the clothing, and I can see clothing, and you mentioned House of Maiya. Can you tell us about House of Maiya?
Okay. House of Maiya was really started by my daughter when she was 10 years old. I had just finished work. I used to work as an arts director, and I had just finished my job, and she just took up this little hobby of drawing dresses and wanting to make dresses. And because she was 10 and I wasn't really into, you know, fashion, it wasn't a medium that I would have particularly been using at all. But because she wanted to do that, and we didn't have a sewing machine, we didn't have much money at the time because I'd lost my work. However, Maiya decided to draw all these little dresses, and so we decided to help her. And so one of the ways that we did that, we were also at the time into recycling and, you know, the whole trying to be, leave less of a footprint on the planet, if you like. And so she started making stuff, recycling and upcycling clothes, and just people were giving her fabric, people were giving her, you know, old curtains, all sorts of things. And so I started helping her, but together we started making some designs. This is one of them now. That is a resold dress behind me. It's made from something else. And so I think it was just that. And then that started with her having a couple of dresses made for one small show that she was doing, a children's show, which she won. And then from there, it just kind of snowballed, and we were running from, you know, one show to another show and doing all of these upcycled fabrics and doing all these different concepts using fabric, different materials from around the house, bath mat, shower curtains, you name it, you know, all these different things. And then she just ended up going to New York Fashion Week and all of that. And that was in about, I think, 2017. And I think we did New York Fashion Week this year, but the virtual Fashion Week. But so basically it was just showing the world again, you know, you don't have to be mega rich to make designs. You can do anything you want if you really want to do it, was what we were kind of saying. And it was a way of saying, look, you know, you can find things around your home, you can buy things from the local secondhand store, you can upcycle everything, you can recycle things, and you can still make really great fashion, and at the same time not create all this devastation to the world. Because I guess if you think about it, like the fashion industry, which is also going through massive changes at the moment, is one of the third biggest causes of climate change, apparently.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, you know, I mean, if you think about it, it takes about 20,000 gallons of water for one pair of jeans or a t-shirt. You know, it really makes, and because there's so much stuff about water at the moment, and people that don't have it, you sort of think in your mind, what, you know, it doesn't add up. So you can think, how can you find a different way to do this? So about 2 years ago, maybe about 2 years ago, I think Maiya became a teenager. And so the brand sort of has taken a little bit of a backseat. She still does custom. We work together on that. We do custom designs if people want them. We still do upcycling, but I feel it's kind of there. It's her side. It's kind of like her side business at the moment. It's not the main focus. Yeah.
She's a young woman exploring. So,
yeah.
Can you tell me, come to you now, a moment in your life that you will never forget? Something that the first thing that came, I hear that you're a mother, so usually mothers go straight to that one, but another moment that you're just never going to forget, that had a real impact on you, or something you saw, something that happened, just a moment that stays with you.
Yeah, that's a difficult question because there are so many of them, and there are so many, to be honest with you. And as I said to you, I think if I was to go back to what really has impacted me in my life, I didn't even realize it until we started doing, you know, the training for the drama therapy and that, and it sort of seemed to come up a lot. And I think if I was to say, it would be, I think growing up in Northern Ireland had a massive impact on my life that I didn't even realize until much later in my life. And if I was to think of the impact that had, it's not necessarily all of the things that I saw or experienced, which were a lot, but, and not even, I think what it did was instill inside of me this sense of, from a very early age, that the world that we live in is very unjust. And so for me, I think that's probably where I went into, I've had that inside of me. It planted the seed, you know, from a very small town in the north. of Ireland, and you sort of realize when you're, I don't know, 6 or 7, that the world that we live in is not a just world, and that does something to you as a young person, I think, and that's where you get your fire, you know, to want to see a bit of change. You know what I mean?
Do you recall, you said when we done the drama therapy training, which is young years ago, but
Yeah.
do you recall the time that you kind of went, oh my gosh? Was there an oh my gosh, or an aha? I think that's what they call it, aha moment of like,
Yeah.
wow, that's there. Was it
Yeah.
shown to you, or did it kind of pop out to you?
No, I think what it was actually is, you know, when we were doing the drama therapy and we were doing our training and we had to do all the group training, and we were sitting in one of the groups one day and people were talking about their experiences. And I happened to mention some of mine, and I thought, holy shit, like I grew up in, you know, my experiences are ever so slightly different to the rest of my classmates. And I thought, you know, everyone's sitting here talking about feelings and their family and this and that, and the other. And I'm talking about, you know, walking down the street and a building that was there yesterday is now bombed out and gone, and we're trolling through the rubble to look for fucking boxes of chocolates because it was the sweet. And I suddenly thought to myself, oh my God, that was my normal as a child.
Yes.
Growing up, that was my normal, that we came to expect that, you know. And so I suddenly thought to myself, wow, I've had such a different experience from the rest of the people in this class. And I know we all have different experiences, but for me, I kind of think I realized, crikey, I grew up in a kind of a war zone. And it wasn't even that. I think that it was also, I'll tell you what I realized actually, Helen, that I think that gave me a certain empathy. I think I have a huge empathy for other people and the situations that they go through. And I try to sort of figure out why am I so empathetic to that, or why do I understand that so much? It's not my experience. How do I? And I think it was because I experienced a terrible sense of shame about where I came from. And especially in teenage years, you were made to feel there was a whole propaganda out there to make you feel ashamed for being from Northern Ireland and being Irish. And that, you know, and then when I moved from Northern Ireland to the south, that shame continued, because people would say, you know, oh, you're carrying bombs in your bag, are you? You know, those kind of things. And so as a young person, that impacted. Now, I'm not saying I carry it around, but I just realized, is all I'm saying, there was an awareness of the impact that it had, and that it's something that probably drove me forward against other injustices towards other people, you know.
I think there's I think a lot of people are completely and utterly unaware that just how much they take their childhood experiences forward. Obviously a lot of people are aware of the trauma they may have experienced, but they're not aware that they've normalized that, and that is their normal. You know, like we all have this idea that whatever happens in our house happens somewhere else as well, and this is the world. And as we start to walk out of that and go to different places, just I think you're either aware or you're unaware of how you carry that and how you bring that forward. And sometimes the difficulty in releasing some of that so that you can sort of bloom more and move forward.
And it's not that it's something that I carry it's not that I carry it, you know, it's more that it's an awareness of what made me, let's say, I feel, for instance, a lot of people in Northern Ireland are very strong in spirit. They've imagined, you know, their spirit is so strong because they've been through so much, and they have to really try and deal with that and live still. And there's a certain fire burning in people. You can see this kind of, you know, but more than that, I think that comes from, and I'm not going to, for me, let's say my experience, it was Northern Ireland. but it made me realize that that's how it is for other people who are going through oppression or conflict. It's not about Northern Ireland, Helen. It's more on a more general, broad scale about the conflict and the trauma that conflict causes in the person, any person's psyche, generational trauma, you know, and how growing up in conflict affects people or being oppressed. And I think that that's probably the crux of all of it. Is it's the oppression that I am against. I can't stand it, you know.
I think one of the things is when you've grown up in an oppressive, I'm going to say regime, whether that is your home, whether that is your community, whether that is the wider society, but when you have grown up under an oppressive yoke of whatever nature, when you finally become aware of that, as soon as it starts heading in your direction, you're like, whoa, and it's almost like putting crosses up to vampires. Like, no.
Exactly.
I think it can go both ways. That you kind of either just do like, I've got a cat that just likes to fall over and just give in to whatever's coming. So you're throwing up your crosses, or you're just going, okay, let it roll over me. And you may bounce between both of those and anywhere in between. So with this current situation, you said you did that House of Maiya did the virtual fashion week. So I can hear that the restrictions and whatever's gone on has impacted on that. Has it impacted in any other ways? Because for some people, this has been a very positive time. They've utilised it very effectively, and it's actually brought some benefit. For many, it hasn't. But how has it impacted on Fusion or House of Maiya? How?
I think for House of Maiya, it's probably not such a positive impact, because obviously people aren't buying so many clothes. I think retail is really suffering at the moment, no matter what. You know, it's suffering. And there is a part of me that thinks, okay, we don't need all the clothes that we buy anyway, so that's okay. That's not such a bad thing, you know, even though that it is a bad thing for people that have retail. But then again, maybe we just have to readjust our thinking about that, because I do think that we have become a world in the West in particular that just buys for the sake of buying sometimes, you know. So that's a whole other conversation. However, for Fusion, it's been really positive. So because now I think we did an interview with Fusion with Jano, and one of the things that he mentioned with Jano Mecca Holmes, and one of the things that he mentioned was that it's leveled the playing field. So now people are available. People weren't available before. And I was thinking about this the other day, actually, and I was thinking about celebrities and celebrity status. And that's disappearing.
Yeah, we're starting to really think about what we celebrate people for now.
Haven't we? And I think that's a really good thing. You know what I mean? I think we were kind of, in one sense, kind of rolling like a snowball. It was just rolling down the hill out of control, gathering speed and gathering more and more, you know, of all this, like just be famous for the sake of being famous and all of those things. I think that now people are willing to have more conversations, really real conversations about what's going on in their lives as well. So there's a more purposeful way of speaking to each other. This is only my opinion. I can't back this up with facts. This is just me and
this is your experience. That's your fact.
Yeah, you know what I mean? This is my authentic truth. So I think it's that, and that people are more willing to have partnerships and collaborations. There's more collaboration going on, more partnerships going on. People are reaching out to people all the time. People you think you'd never get an interview with, we're getting interviews, and it's like, you know, sometimes I'm sitting there scratching my head thinking, I can't believe that person said yes to an interview in our smaller, you know, and they do. So from that point of view, it's very, very positive. And also, we're to share is of people who are really are doing amazingly incredible work in their communities, and who don't normally, you know, they might not get the recognition that they deserve. And so there's that, you know, and then obviously Fusion has media partnered with another organization, well, a couple of different, so even, you know, for us, we're media partnering, and collaborating with people all the time. So it's very, very positive for Fusion, not so positive for House of Maiya, but that's okay because that's how it rolls, you know.
Yeah, you kind of have almost gone into my next question, which was how has it and what plans then? What's the future looking like? What would you like to share about the future for either House of Maiya or Fusion? How is the future looking?
House of Maiya will go through some changes because it's already doing that and has been for the last 2 years. As I said, it was always, you know, House of Maiya began as a hobby of a young girl, and it snowballed beyond our wildest dreams. And at the age of 14, she was already in New York Fashion Week, you know, with big designers. And so she's achieved more at the age of 14, you know what I mean, from 10 to 14. Joined Earth Guardians, became an ambassador for Earth Guardians in Ireland, and doing all the things that she wanted to do. But her real passion for House of Maiya, for Maiya, is to be a vet. And that's what she's concentrating on. House of Maiya will still run, but we're making changes and exploring. I suppose we're getting deeper into the sustainability and sustainable fabric and stuff like that. So it's there. As I said, you know, if people want a custom dress, we're very happy to make one. If they want a custom anything, we're happy to do it. But at the moment, it's kind of sitting on the side, and that's okay. We're happy with that. It's always been an organic process at House of Maiya anyway. And we with Fusion, well, Fusion is one of those things that has taken wings of its own, and I don't know where Fusion is going to go. I mean, we obviously it's just taken wings, Helen. And to be honest, we've done a lot of collaborations where we have a lot, as I said, we've some media partners. We have some incredibly talented writers working for us, all of whom I'm so grateful to because they make us what we are. Benedict Salvacion, of course, he's our graphic designer and co-owner of Fusion. And we have a lot of things that are happening with Fusion, some of which I can't really talk about.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, but there's a lot happening with Fusion. Fusion is going to be ongoing, and you know, we just hope that it will grow and grow, to be honest, and then we can just keep sharing people's stories. But like that, the way the world is, it's you know, we're open to everything.
Okay, so how can people connect with you and collaborate with you?
They can just contact us on the Fusion Magazine Facebook page, on Instagram page. We have a YouTube channel also. Okay. But I think best to go on the Fusion page and just drop us a message. Okay. Website.
I will put that message, that information down below for anyone that wishes to contact you. We've frozen again.
Okay.
Oh, okay. So my final question to you is, what truth would you like to share?
Oh, wow. Well, that depends on the day that you talk to me, Helen, doesn't it? Because
well, it's today, right here, right now. What truth would you like to share?
Right here, right now, I would say, listen, the truth, my truth is, you know, just live your life, is what I would say. Live your life. If you have a good idea, if you have an idea about anything, try it. Don't let anyone say, no, you can't. Just you say, I'm trying it. Because there's no, it doesn't matter if it doesn't work, is what I would say. It doesn't matter if it doesn't work. If it's important to you, if you're passionate about it, if it's going to help other people, try it. Who cares if it doesn't work? Just go for it anyway. That would be my truth. That's what I tell myself every day. You know, I'm just like, who cares? Just do it. Just do it and see what happens. And a lot of the time, you'd be surprised.
Thank you so much. If you'd just like to hold on, thank you so much for joining me in conversation. Thank you to everybody who's watched it. I hope that you've enjoyed this as much as I have. So like, subscribe, share. Information on how to contact Maig, it will be down below, and information on how to contact me if you'd like to do anything with me will also be down below. So thank you so much.